Long walks, social gatherings, slow-paced romances, awkward meetings, and a bunch of characters with contrasting temperaments. Now that's how I like to describe Jane Austen's novels. Hey everyone, this is Aradhana. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and today I'm going to talk about Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen, which is her first novel. So without any further ado, let's get into today's video. And if you want to get more updates on book recommendation, book reviews, or anything related to books, then you should subscribe to my channel and hit that like button if you like the video. Now let's get into today's video. So Sense and Sensibility is Jane Austen's first novel, and it was first published in 1811 anonymously, because at that point in time women writers were not given that much importance by the society, and that's why we see so many female writers take male pseudonyms such as Charlotte Bronte and George Eliot. All of those took male pseudonyms, but what Jane Austen did was she wrote in place of the writer's name. She wrote written by a lady. Okay, so she did not totally unravel her identity to everybody who was reading or to her readers, but she did not even take a male pseudonym. So I think that is very unique thing to do in her part. And initially the title she gave to her book was not Sense and Sensibility, it was Elinor and Marianne, which are the two heroines of this novel. It is said that to write Sense and Sensibility, Jane Austen took inspiration from two other books, which is Adam Stevenson's Love and Life and also Jane West's A Gossip Story. Okay, so the one thing that you need to know while reading Jane Austen is that her novels are written in the era called as the Regency era. Actually, her books are written in the Georgian era, but at the last of it, there comes a short span of time which is called the Regency era, and its very specific definition is this. The Regency era in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland was a period towards the end of Georgian era, when King George III was deemed unfit to rule due to his illness, and his son ruled as his proxy or as Prince Regent. Upon George III's death in 1820, the Prince Regent became King George IV. So that was the Regency era, and it was during that time that Jane Austen was writing her novels, and most of her novels are written during those periods, though her novels are also called as to be come under the Romantic period and also the Georgian period, but more specifically it comes under the Regency era, and that's what you need to remember while reading her books, right? Let's get on to the story of the book. So the story of the book revolves around these two Dashwood sisters, whose name is Elinor Dashwood, which is the eldest sister, who is 19 years of age, and the second one is Marianne, who is 17 and a half years of age. And both of these sisters are quite different in their temperament, and they're dealing with each and every situation of life, and that is from where we get the title Sense and Sensibility. In sense, whereas Marianne represents sensibility, Elinor is always conscious about her dealing with each and every situation in life, and she is like a more kind of a person who is sincere, and also she looks after her conduct of behavior, right, in any social gatherings or anywhere in the society, whereas Marianne is always overpowered by her emotions, and she does not know that how she should hide her emotions. She is too excited, and she's too sad that even she falls ill at just a breakup and everything. So these are the kind of things that contrast these Dashwood sisters. Now Elinor and Marianne have another younger sister whose name is Margaret, but she is only 13 years old, so there is not much attention given to her in the story, and most of the time she is absent from all the things that are happening, so she is not that important to the plot. Now the story starts with the death of Mr. Dashwood, who is the father of these Dashwood sisters, and now they have nothing in this world except a little fortune, and they are dependent on their stepbrother John, who has inherited almost everything from their father, and he is so greedy that he's not gonna give anything to these sister, thanks to her wife Fanny. Fanny is like a hideous villain in the story of Dashwood sisters, and who convinces her husband John, the stepbrother of Dashwood sisters, that in today's world nobody gives anything to their real sisters, so forget about your stepsisters, just have everything for yourself, for me and for our little child. Due to the discriminatory behavior of Fanny, Mrs. Dashwood, who is the mother of Dashwood sisters, starts to think about leaving Norland Park, which is the place they are living in, and shifting to some other small house where they can afford to live and live in peace, actually, and away from John and Fanny. Now, with luck, they also find a cottage in the village of Barton, Devonshire, and they move there, and without any delay. But the twist is that Elinor, the eldest of the Dashwood sisters, is in love with Fanny's brother, Edward Ferrars. Now, they have not committed to each other, and there was just romantic inclination that was building between them. This relationship was building, and in the middle, they just leave Norland Park, and that is what ruins their relationship in a way. But Elinor, because of her temperament, because she is, as we say, she is sensible, so the thing is that she is not able to express anything what is going on in her mind, and she keeps everything to herself. Is this temperament of Elinor of not sharing too much with her sisters, and being a little too much private within itself, and holding up her feelings, is kind of a very similar trait between Jane Bennet from Pride and Prejudice and Elinor. I think both of these characters are very similar in their temperament, in their nature, so yeah, I guess there is a similarity can be drawn between those two characters. So when these girls move to Barton, the relationship between Edward Ferrars and Elinor is kind of on a break, and they are on hold, and they really don't know what the other person is thinking, because they are not committed, as I said earlier, and it becomes really messed up relationship. And while they are in Barton, they are invited to their uncle Middleton's house to dine with them, and to have some parties or anything. It's Jane Austen novel, so there are going to be so many balls and so many parties and everything. So they are invited to this kind of a social gathering, and there these Dashwood sisters meet Colonel Brandon. Now, Colonel Brandon is said to have been inspired from Warren Hastings, the first Governor General of India, who is a 35-year-old eligible bachelor, and he is kind of attracted towards Marianne at first, and it was kind of like a love at first sight kind of thing for Colonel Brandon. And Marianne is like, as she is a 16-17-year-old girl, she is not at all interested in him. She trying to come close to her and to talk to her and things like that, but she is not at all interested. During one of her walks, Marianne meets this guy named Willoughby, who is exactly what she wants in a life partner, and she thinks that he is the perfect person. He's handsome, he can read poetry, he is he romanticizes almost everything, and that Prince Charming kind of vibe comes from him, and that is what attracts Marianne towards him, and she is so much fascinated by him, and she falls so much in love with him. But now Willoughby is to inherit her aunt's fortune only on one condition, that he marries the girl that has been chosen for him. But he does not tell all this to Marianne and have a romantic relationship with her, and then also takes the lock of her hair, and which was also symbolic to that he has committed to her in a way, and that they both are lovers. But what happens is that he leaves Marianne in a dreadful condition, knowing that she loves him a lot and everything. And Marianne is heartbroken by this conduct of Willoughby, and she is really heartbroken, and she falls terribly ill. And now Marianne's health degrades day by day, and Colonel Brandon is so helpful towards them. Now there we have the heartbreak of Marianne. And let's see, she takes it really terribly, and she falls ill, and she is her health is degraded day by day. And whereas Elinor receives this information from this girl Lucy at their uncle's house, that Edward Ferrars and Lucy have been secretly engaged for a few years, like I think 3 years, and they are in love with each other. And Elinor is like, what the hell is happening? But she is such a sensible person that she does not tell this to anybody, and not even Marianne, not to anybody. She just represses her emotions regarding that, because she does not also have any kind of any other way to deal with it, because what can she do? They were not committed, and he was not committed to her. She didn't say anything about her feelings to him, and both of them are just, this relationship is really messed up. But Elinor is not ready to believe that Edward could be a person like Willoughby. I mean, Elinor tells this to her sister a few days after her health progresses a bit, and she tells him that Edward is secretly engaged to Lucy for like 3 years. So she says that straightforwardly that Edward is a second Willoughby, and I think that line hits hard, and I think it's kind of right also, because he was giving light to the love of Elinor, and also not telling anything about his past engagement with her. And then all this happens and they go, and then also he doesn't tell her that he is already engaged, that Elinor should marry somewhere else or anything. So I think that is really not, this is so disloyal on Edward's part. But Colonel Brandon is so helpful and kind towards Marianne and Elinor, and Marianne because he is in love with her, and also he is kind of a very good-hearted guy. Maybe he's old and everything, but still the thing is that his character is so deeply, kind and warm and good that you cannot deny to love him. He is just such a good character. I think it's really, really amazing. And Brandon is kind of a person about whom Austen writes in words of Willoughby, that Brandon is such a kind of man whom everybody speaks well of and nobody cares about, whom all are delighted to see and nobody remembers to talk to. So Marianne sees this after she recovers from her health, and she is kind of not attracted towards him, but she is ready to accept him. Marianne realizes that these words by Willoughby were maybe true but hollow, and she proves it wrong because she eventually marries him. And yeah, I think this is the realization of Marianne, that not always you are going to meet Prince Charming who you have really anticipated for a while. Being sensible is also kind of a good thing, because you are not to hide your emotions. And there is a beautiful line about Marianne that never loved by halves. Her whole heart became in time as much devoted to her husband as it had once been to Willoughby. So Marianne starts loving Colonel Brandon as much as she did to Willoughby. Elinor, what happens is really undigestible to me, at least, because Edward was engaged to Lucy, but what happens is that he is disowned by her mother, and he is given nothing in the family fortune, and that's why that gold digger Lucy elopes with Edward's elder brother Robert, and that's how Edward comes to see Elinor. I think this is really bad, because Edward was not loyal to Elinor, so I don't think so. Why is this ending given to the book? I really don't like it. And when Edward confesses that he loved her, and because he was in her youth he was really infatuated by Lucy and everything, if he would have any kind of work, then he would not have committed to her or got engaged to her. I think this is the most undigestible part about this book. Elinor deserved a really good ending. I don't think so it should have been with Edward, because he was kind of a jerk. So yeah, that was Sense and Sensibility's summary. So now we'll just see a few of the themes that are in the book. First one being women in society and their place in society, which is mostly the main theme, the central theme in all of Austen's novel, because here we see that Marianne and Elinor are unmarried and at the initial stages of the novel, and they are looking for some partner for financial dependence, for emotional dependence, mostly in case of Marianne, because because they are not able to keep it together while being unmarried, and they have to have a husband to lead a good life. I think that is a very prominent theme in all of Jane Austen's novel. Now, the second theme of the novel is sensibility, which is represented by Marianne, because we see her constantly overpowered by her emotions, always acting on her emotions. You know, the spur of the moment kind of thing is there, that she is like, you know, she meets Willoughby and he is so handsome, he's so Prince Charming, he is so this and that, and she falls in love with him. When he leaves, he breaks up with her. She is like, you know, she's like, you know, just it affects her health so much that she is so much emotionally attached to him, which is not a bad, and she is actually not at all being practical. She is just so emotional and so acting on her emotions, solely acting on her emotions, and not at all thinking from her brain. There is like a constant war between sense and sensibility, between when Elinor confesses that she has been going through all this, knowing about Edward's engagement, and Marianne is like realizing, you know, how much is my sister you know, suffering when she was treating me of illness, and she was taking care of me, and how I have been so self-centered and all those things. So there is kind of like a constant war between sense and sensibility. And I think, and last but not the least, actually it is the first thing that has been discussed in the novel in the very first chapter, is that how, you know, the fortune, the property of a father goes to his son rather than to his daughters. And it is shown in almost every book I have read by Jane Austen. It is also there in Pride and Prejudice, and it is also there in Sense and Sensibility. And these Dashwood sisters get nothing from their father's fortune, and it is got everything. Actually, its father's fortune is not his. Actually, it was his uncle's, and that's why he was really not in charge of you know, dividing it wholly and solely to their sisters or to their sons. So he left it to their sons, right? So the thing is that this is also a very prominent thing in most of Jane Austen's novel, and it is also there in Sense and Sensibility. So I guess that was the review of Sense and Sensibility. Those were the analysis, the summary, the characters of Sense and Sensibility. There are a bunch of characters that I have left, but for that you have to read like the whole text of it. For that you have to read the whole text, which is not much. It is just 300 pages. Hope you all enjoyed this small analysis of Sense and Sensibility. If you like it, hit that like button and subscribe my channel for more such videos. And I will make a playlist of Jane Austen's novels starting from today. This is the first book by Jane Austen, and we are going to cover all the 6 novels of Jane Austen. So stay tuned on my channel for more such videos, and for now, bye bye.